Morning, traders. Happy Friday. It doesn't feel like a Friday just because I took the day off from trading yesterday. So it almost feels like a Monday or Tuesday, Coming into the charts a little bit more fresh than normal on a Friday. All right. So today, we'll dive into the chart here in a second. But we got some stuff going on with Triple Witching Day. So, like stock options and stuff expiring today, third Friday of each quarter. And then, of course, war news looming and all the rumors of like attacks over the weekend and stuff like that. So, could be a pretty crazy session. I'm going to be a little bit cautious today. And then, just normal Friday sentiment. Looking at financial juice. What do we have today? We just had retail sales 45 minutes ago. So that's over. Nothing else other than 10 o'clock Central Time, Trump National Security Meeting. So that could be interesting if there's any announcements about what we're doing with Iran, Israel, that whole situation. So lots of reasons to size down and be cautious today. Good morning, Paul. Good morning, G-Man. Looking at the chart. So this is heading up towards last session's, New York session's point of control, value area high, and previous day high. So these would be areas of interest for a possible retracement. But we're pretty bullish. We've definitely broken out of some key resistance areas, which honestly I'm very surprised by. Like this big drop down here that we had at the end of the day yesterday, that was a pretty big support area that I had drawn up. So I wasn't surprised that it was going to get a little bounce right there. But I definitely did not expect this giant move up and continuation higher. I kind of thought it was just going to be a little bounce and then further move to the downside. Pretty interesting. I did take a couple of trades this morning. 2 trades, 1 loss, 1 win. So this trade right here, the purple line is anchored from the Asia Open and the orange line is anchored from the London Open. So here I took a short from the rejection of both of those lines and ended up getting stopped out. So that was a loss. And then later it took a long after it showed that it was holding up above those VWAPs. And that one, there must have been some news or something that came out, but I had my limit orders set up here at previous week value area high, and it actually got hit. I wasn't expecting it to go that high. I was going to kind of just trail my stop loss, but it ended up going all the way up there. So got my levels of interest. I do like that it's holding above yesterday's value area low. I'd be interested to see how it reacts at point of control or value area high, or even, if it gets all the way up to previous day high. Those would be possible areas for a retracement. So that's something I'm looking at. Good morning, Coach Set. How's it going? And then, I mean, other than that, like if it gets above that previous high, then we could be looking at a bullish day, looking for longs. I want to see how it reacts at these levels first. If we get some strong selling pressure from there, then I think shorts would be what I'd be looking for. If we break out above that high right there and we hold, something like break and retest and go higher, that could be a scenario too. Kind of just a couple levels that I'd be watching. So let's see how we open. Again, if you guys are just tuning in, definitely a day to be cautious. If I were you, what I'm going to do, I'm going to size down. So just being a Friday, all the war stuff we have going on, Trump is actually having a meeting in about an hour and a half with the national security meeting. And then triple witching day, which is there's like 3 different stock options and indexes that expire. So people are going to be like closing out positions. So that'll definitely increase the volatility. Could be a little crazy today. All right, so we're hitting that point of control right now, which is always a good area of interest. I love those point of control plays. That's what we did on Wednesday, if you were on the stream. There was a rejection at the point of control on Wednesday, and then it turned into a failed auction. That was a nice trade. Ended up getting stopped out at break even on that one just because there wasn't any continuation, but I re-entered the same idea and was able to lock out with full profit on that one. I like that mindset. Need to be green on Friday to have positive mental capital for the weekend. Don't you just feel better over the weekend when you finish green? Like even if it's tiny green, like I'll finish like $100 in the green. I don't care. But that's a whole lot better than finishing the week red. That just sucks. So let's trade safe today, you guys. Manage that risk. Enter your stop losses. Size down. Be patient. Let's finish the week green, y'all. Good morning, Stefan. Am I saying it right? Is it Stefan or Stefan? Tell me if it's the first one or the second one. Or none. Am I saying it totally wrong? So I decided to turn off the second one was perfect, Stefan. Cool. I decided to turn off the background music because I know if you guys are anything like me, I like to have my own music on in the background, like when I'm watching other people live stream. So that way I don't have too much noise going on. And then I know some of you are watching like multiple streams at the same time. So I could see where that would be a lot of noise. Maybe cause a little bit of distraction, make it hard to focus. So we got about 7 minutes till the open. We're actually up here at the value area high. I marked this value area high, I think from Wednesday. Let me make sure. Just because yesterday didn't really count as a session. Let me look back. Yeah, I marked it from Wednesday's New York session. That's where I got these lines from. So I know that's a little funky because it doesn't take into account Thursday, but Thursday wasn't really a session in terms of New York. But we're kind of coming up to that area. Not really seeing any sort of rejection though. It's pretty strong. It's moving up. So possible come up to this previous day high and then reject. Who trades yesterday? Tell me, did you guys trade yesterday? Did you take the day off? What'd you do? Oh, nice, G-Man. That's always a good feeling when you like get one good trade in the morning, you lock up all your accounts and you're done. You don't have to deal with like the New York Open volatility and all that. It's even better when you take a really good trade and you lock up your accounts and then you see that the New York session was just like choppy or super wicky and just like gross price action. Best feeling, right? Because then you're like, I missed out on all of that and I finished green. Heck yeah. Wow, I'm proud of you guys. Looks like most of you stayed away. I'll admit, I love trading. Like I might be one of those degens that's like always looking at the chart. I probably scroll through TradingView on my phone like way too much. I should check, you know how like Apple phones, you can tell how much time you spend on each app. I'm gonna look later today and see how much time I spend on TradingView. It's probably bad. So normally on holidays or Sunday night or whatever, like I'm always looking for a trade if there's a level that's hit or something. But yesterday I actually took the day off. It felt good. I feel like I needed a little bit of a mental recharge to like not look at the charts, get away, not trade. Took my kids to the beach. It was pretty fun. Got some fresh air. All right, coming up strong up to previous day high. And I say previous day high, that was Wednesday's high. Again, I marked my levels from Wednesday just because Thursday was a little bit funky. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see anything popping up on Financial Juice. So I don't know what this pump is. Other than, like I mentioned before, it's triple witching day, which I know just increases volatility like crazy. People exiting positions, options, closing, expiring, all that stuff. So that could be something that's going on right now. Or some sort of news announcement. I don't know. Nothing's popping up on my Financial Juice yet. We got the market opening in about 1 minute. Getting a little rejection from that high. Move down to the 1 minute chart so we can see it a little bit better. All right, I'm going to remove these VWAPs. This is from the London and the Asia session. Not too concerned about those anymore. All right. Pretty strong rejection of the open. Look at that, like, previous day high grab and then rejection. That was sweet. If it wasn't happening like 2 minutes before the open, that would have been my kind of trade right there. But I didn't want to get into anything right before the market opened because it could have jumped in either direction and just been a wild move that I didn't want to be in. This is a day that I'm going to be patient. Friday, war, triple witching, all that stuff. Sizing down. All right, marking my anchored VWAP for the New York session. And then let's start, oops. Got off the wrong screen. All right. 15-minute low so far. And then the 15-minute high is right up there at that previous day high. Good morning, good morning. If you guys are just tuning in, say hi in the chat. I want to see who's here. So we're definitely holding below this previous day high so far. We've had this slow grind up all night. Let's see if we get a retracement and we're going lower, or if we hold it and we break out above previous day high. So I was kind of looking at a couple of options of breaking out and holding above, or possible rejection and lower. So want to see how this opening range sets up and just kind of be patient here. Good morning, David. Welcome, welcome. Glad to have you. David, what do you typically trade in terms of strategies? I typically trade NQ, so if you trade NQ, you're at the right place. But what are your strategies? I usually look for the 15-minute opening range. I watch the 60-minute initial balance, and I love taking filled auctions off of that. And then I use volume profile to mark levels of high volume for support and resistance, and then like session volume high, value area high, point of control, value area low. That's usually what I trade with. Well, I gave you guys this big old talk about like possible high volatility day with triple witching and options closing and war news and all that stuff. And then here we are. We have this tiny little range that's not really going anywhere. So far, holding below previous day high. kind of taking a look at the risk to reward on that. Put my stop loss up above that previous wick, and then target maybe somewhere probably around here is what I'd be looking at. It's not bad, just want a little bit more information. Making sure I'm logged in on everything. David, you trade VWAP and then ES or NQ. Initial balance, opening range. Oh, okay, from ASFX, awesome. Very similar trading style then. Well, there we go. That's why we need to be patient, right? If I would have taken that early short off of that previous day high rejection, we would have gotten wicked out there. I'm really surprised by this lack of movement today. So I took that trade I showed you guys earlier. I locked out my top one futures accounts with 902. So today I'm just going to be trading a combine with you guys. I have some funded accounts with Top Step. I'm just going to trade a combine to try to scale up a little bit on that one. But all my other accounts are locked out. All right, so we're breaking above previous day high. So kind of zooming out here, if we're gonna hold above this level, we do have a little bit of resistance here and then more all the way up here. So we do have some immediate resistance. The risk to reward might not be great if it's going to reject at any of these. But I mean, this is pretty strong. There hasn't been any retracement all night, pretty much. It's been up only since, what was this? Down here this morning at 4 a.m. Central. Still kind of just playing around this area. So this could be a fake out to the upside. We could get a rejection. Could be a possibility for a short if we get some strong selling pressure here. Or, like I said, if we continue to hold above and we get some momentum to the upside, that could be a nice little breakout trade. Five-minute and 15-minute gap to the downside. Is that what you're talking about, David? Some of these levels from last night. Like this big one right here. That's a pretty big fair value gap. Is that kind of what you're talking about, is to the downside? Or are you talking about upside to the left? I don't see any to the left unless you're talking about like way back here. Yeah. There's definitely some room to come lower, like if sellers show up. But not right now. It's looking like up is the play right now. All right, I am going to enter a long because it kind of played out that scenario that I was telling you guys. This is a little bit aggressive, but it broke out of the previous day high. It's holding and it's starting to get some momentum to the upside. What I'm going to watch for is the reaction on, let me zoom back out. The reaction at this level. And then if it passes that, then I'll be watching for a reaction kind of in this area. So I'll have those two marked off. If we get pullbacks in those areas, then I'll get out quick. Let's see if we can get this momentum continuing higher. Seems like a pretty slow 15-minute opening range, or a 15-minute opening part of the session. All right, so that level of interest that I was talking about, we're getting there right now. It's like 133-ish. If it breaks above that, then like 177-ish. Let's see. I'm going to be pretty quick with exiting this if it starts to pull back. Just because, like I mentioned, there was a lot of resistance to the left. We got that resistance at 133 or so. Let's see if we can get back up there. Yeah, G-Man I am. I know, that's not normal. So, for one, I'm in a combine, so being a little bit more aggressive. I showed everyone that I actually took that trade earlier this morning and maxed out my top one futures account, so locked that one. This one, since it broke out above previous day high and it's holding so far, but it looks like it's rejecting that 133 area that I had marked off. See if we can break through that 133 area. Because then from there, let me zoom out to like the 5-minute on here. We got lots of room to run if we break that. If we can get above there, then it could go up to like 176. We got to get some momentum to push through that though. We're not getting much selling pressure, so I feel okay now. If it starts to drop quick though, I'm going to get out. I'll be pretty aggressive with that. All right, the 15-minute opening range is set. So this would kind of be in line with like a 15-minute opening range breakout if it gets up above that 133, 135 level. Or we could reject back down.
Order filled.
All right, I'm going to get out. It did not break through that resistance yet, at least. Let's wait for a pullback and then possibly higher. All right. Let me delete that. Go ahead and draw our line for the 15-minute opening range high. Right there. Go back to the 1 minute. All right, it does look like we're rejecting. Now we're holding back below previous day high. We do have a lot of resistance to the left, so I could see us pulling back quite a bit. I mean, there's lots of room to the downside. I just don't want to be too quick to short since we've been trending up all morning. I'll go ahead and mark off that trade so I can journal it later. All right, one trade down. There was some pretty good chop here, so this could be a possible area for like pullback and then breakout to the upside, possible, if we're going to continue higher. Or, I mean, if we hold below this previous day high, this could be downside and kind of grab a lot of that liquidity from last night. So let's see. I mean, if it starts to get heavy, I wouldn't be against shorting. Tell me what you guys are looking at. You thinking long, shorts? Waiting for a pullback to go long? Do you think we hit our resistance for the day and we're going lower? What are your thoughts? Yeah. I'm kind of leaning towards shorts too. I mean, I know I just took a long, so obviously I'm kind of flip-flopping back and forth. But yeah, holding below previous day high, starting to reject. So let's see if we were to do that, risk to reward, 30-ish points. We have lots of room lower though, like lots of room to go. So this could be something that we just like enter and hold. But also don't want to be like looking for the home run trade. So a nice short, I think, would be like if we come back up, get a little bit of a better entry, possibly. Coming into yesterday or Wednesday's point of control, let's see if that holds as support and we bounce. If not, a lot of times this like session volume profile, the value area high all the way down to the value area low, that serves as a range. So we could go all the way back down to value area low.
Order filled.
This is just a momentum trade. Definitely trading more aggressive than normal, just being in a combine. I probably wouldn't have done that on a funded account just because there isn't a good clear stop loss. But since it was getting heavy, we fell back below that previous day high, rejected that 133 area that I was showing you guys to the left. And now starting to break below point of control. I mean, value area low or lower would be a good target. This spot right here, right around 972, there's lots of liquidity there. $46.5 was my entry. Let's see if we can get down to this area. I'm going to put my stop loss above that value area high. Oh, I'm still on the 5 minute. All right, we're sitting at that 15-minute range low. If we break down, like start to move lower, I'd feel a little bit better about it. Definitely could have been more patient with waiting until we actually break out of it and then retest if that's what's going to happen. There we go. Getting a little break below. Let's see if we get some continuation here. Kind of just peaked out a little bit. Come on, let's get some selling pressure here. So looking at Bookmap, there's quite a few orders at 22,150, which is up higher. That's above. So we could be getting a bounce higher. And then there's lots below too. Yeah, coach said that would have been the safer move for sure. Like an actual break out below the 15-minute range and hold, retest, continuation. For sure. That would have been the safer move. And that's probably what I would have done on a funded account. So I'll give you guys that disclaimer that I'm in a combine, so I'm trading a lot more aggressively than I normally do. This is not how I would be in some of my funded accounts. It's a little more fun this way with Friday volatility, with all this stuff going on today. Takes the pressure off. All right, come on. Let's break out below. Get some continuation here. Strong candle below, hold it. Maybe get a little retest and then go lower. Gambling and eval. Crazy Friday, let's roll. It makes it a little bit more fun when you've already like done good business in another account. Like in my top one account, I locked it out with $900, so cool. Now I can just have a little bit of fun, right? Come on, you're playing with me. You're teasing me. Just getting a little peekaboo out of there. Don't fake me out. So looking at Bookmap again, like I said, there's those orders up at 22,150, which is way up above us. We have some at 22,000, a small amount at 22,000, 22,950. Like there are some smaller orders lower. There we go. All right, let's hold this. Come on. We have this area right here with some chop to the left. Let's see if we can break below that. And then let's see how heavy we get. I mean, if this is something where people are exiting their positions for triple witching day and we get like super heavy, we could even break past this. There's lots of fair value gaps lower. Like I think it was David saying that. All right. So we're breaking below this chop region. Looking good, looking good. Let's see if we can get down to this area. So since I'm on a combine, I'm going to move this to break even so at least I don't get wicked out on some like crazy war announcement that I'm not ready for. But instead of like putting in a limit order like I normally would, I'm just going to see how price plays out. So if it just starts dumping and it breaks below this level, there's lots lower, like this fair value gap right here. I could see it coming down here. And then, I mean, we got lots lower. So I'm going to see how heavy it gets and not exit too early. I'll probably just trail out a little bit, scale out, I guess, and then trail my stop loss. Did anyone else get in the 15-minute orb breakout to the downside? Anyone short with me? We got VWAP all the way down here. That'd be crazy if we went all the way down there. Coach said is short. G-Man would have been short, but he locked himself out because he's already green. Well, dang, David. Showing us all up. David got in at the top of the break, the 15-minute range. Yeah, that definitely would have been good. Like, there was lots of resistance to the left. I think what got me looking for longs was that we had just been going straight up all night, and we had that aggressive move to the upside, like, right before open. So my brain was not thinking shorts. That's why I took that little loss long first, but now we shorten. So those of you guys that are short, what are you leaning towards in terms of target? Kind of in line with where I'm at here? Or are you going to hold it, trail your stop loss? What are your thoughts? Value area low, like I said before, this range, the session volume profile, a lot of times serves as a range. So we could go down to this value area low and get a little bit of a bounce. It's definitely a spot to be looking at. What is that? Around 21,964. That would be right around there. That would be value area low. David, you're talking about the fair value gap that you mentioned at like 952? Yeah, that's kind of in the same region that you were talking about before, right at the top, right there. I like that. Yeah, 22,000, I feel like 22,000, 20,000, like any of those psychological levels, or like, I don't know if psychological level is the right term, but just like a round number that people pay attention to. Even if it's not like a good, quote unquote, good level on the chart where there's support, resistance, it just seems to bounce there. So I try to pay attention to those round numbers too. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put a limit order down here. Trail my stop a little bit more. I'm curious, do any of you guys trade or mark off levels for the 30-minute opening range? I know some people trade the 30-minute opening range instead of the 15-minute, but I feel like the 15-minute and the 60-minute is more common, at least in my circle of trading friends, maybe just because of the people that I've like surrounded myself with. But I'm curious if any of you guys mark the 30-minute range. Yeah, I don't pay attention to the 30-minute range either. Kind of just chopping around here a little bit. I've had success with the 15-minute range and then the 60-minute initial balance range. So I feel like having the 30-minute on there too is just too many lines to pay attention to. And then also a lot of times they're the same-ish. Like in today's case, with the 15-minute range, the 15-minute opening range high, it looks like at this point at least, is also going to be the initial balance high for the 60-minute. And then down here would be the 30-minute range low, which also might be the initial balance 60-minute low. Like, I don't know. A lot of them overlap. Well, I was about to mark the 60-minute initial balance low, but now we're going lower. Getting some continuation here. Come on. Oh my gosh, the 5-minute opening range, I feel like that would just be too much craziness. Like, I tried my best to wait until the 15-minute. The first 5 minutes, if I like regularly was taking trades in the first 5 minutes, I think my anxiety levels would be through the roof. I'd be sweating every time I clicked that button, buy or sell. All right, come on. Let's go lower. All right, let's see if we get to the bottom of this fair value gap. I know, I'm moving my target. Slap my hands. Really, it's just because I want to trail my stop and kind of be able to leave some room to watch for reactions at these levels. So this level where I have my cursor right here, this is the value area low and the top of that fair value gap. So if we get a strong bounce there, then I'll just close it. This, where I have it now, is the bottom of that fair value gap. So that would be cool if it went down there. Starting to break below that 22,000 coach set. Looks like we're going lower. It didn't bounce at 22K, really. I mean, it did there and then came back down. So now we're below it. Let's go, let's go. Now we're getting heavy. That's what I'm talking about. All right, so this is where I actually have my limit order set. Looking lower, we have VWAP down here at 21,892-ish. We also have a good level right here. Quite a bit of support. And then like resistance right there, which is also pretty close to that VWAP, so that could be an area of interest too if we start to get heavy, but I don't want to be too greedy with it. All right, so we're hitting that close to that value area low-ish where we have that liquidity area of interest to the left, kind of getting a bounce there. Let's see if we can break below there. Kadir's done for the day. Nice. Don't you just love that? Like 30 minutes and you're done. You can move on with the day, especially on a Friday. Start your weekend early. Of course, if you have work, then you have to go to work, but it's almost like, for me at least, like I can turn my brain off when I finish early on a Friday. Sense of relief, knowing that you have another 2.5 days away from the charts to like mentally recharge. Unless you're a DGen, like some of us in the chat, where we're like marking up our charts over the weekend and studying your journals, and then as soon as the market opens on Sunday night, you're like, what's going on? Looking for a trade. Anything good? Tell me if anyone else feels this way. Saturday, I mean, I have a family, so like I get to spend time with my kids and stuff, and I love my family time, don't get me wrong. But on Saturday, I'm almost like, I get fidgety. I'm like, I can't look at my charts. There's nothing to do today. Do I have a problem? Maybe I have a problem. Anyone else have the same problem? Okay. There's one other crazy person with me. David's with me. On Saturday, if you're like me, he's still opening TradingView like, dang it, nothing's changed. Just kidding. I don't open up my TradingView on Saturday, but I definitely think about it. All right. Well, this is a fun, slow grind lower. So this blue line right here, that's kind of the top of the fair value gap and right at fair value area low. I want to see how it reacts at this level. If we get a strong bounce, I don't think I'll close it out totally, but I will scale out. I'll take some off there and then hold a runner for the bottom of this fair value gap. All right, guys. What's it gonna be? We're gonna get a bounce? We're gonna keep this slow grind lower? Trail my stop a little bit more, but I do want to give it some room because I'd like to get some continuation. I at least want to be able to scale out down here. Real quick, you guys, do me a favor. If you haven't already, go click the like button. It helps a lot, more than you know, with the YouTube algorithm, kind of getting the word out. Since I'm kind of a new channel, all right, I'm going to close it out right there. I didn't like that bounce, and that was right at value area low. Starting to recover there, move back up there. So one thing I was saying before, I'll move this here because that's pretty much where we got out. The session volume profile, value area high, point of control, value area low, a lot of times that serves as a range for the next day. Not forever, but it'll be support and resistance. So since we're at that value area low and kind of getting a good bounce, we could be going higher, and I don't know how much higher. So this could be a little pullback and we like hit 15-minute opening range low and come back down. In that case, we could re-enter. That's a possibility. Or, like I said, there's actually a lot of orders sitting back up at 22,150, which is way up here. So it is possible too that this is the bottom and we're just going to head straight back higher. But I wanted to be able to lock in some profits at least. All right, let me mark this 60-minute initial balance low where it's at so far. We still have about 15 more minutes until it's set. Let's see if we can find another entry. So if you guys tuned in late, 2 trades so far. First one, I got a little trigger happy. Only 9 minutes into the open. We were holding above this previous day high. Started to get a little bit of momentum to the upside, so I did take a long. Even as I was in the long, though, I knew it was a dumb trade because looking to the left, we had lots of resistance right here at 133. And that's pretty much exactly where we rejected. And we got a strong rejection pretty much when that 15-minute range was set. That's when we rejected. I know, G-Man, I know. I was feeling a little crazy on this Friday. I don't know. So got out of that one quickly and then was a little more patient and got in a short here. All right, so still kind of holding at that value area low-ish area. Let's see if we continue lower or if this is kind of the bottom for now and we get a bounce. So I know there's a couple of people that mark off value area high, low, etc. from the previous day's session volume profile. Do any of you guys do the previous week volume profile and mark off the previous week high, low, and point of control? Good job, David. Good win. I'm up about 192 in this account. Between that first win, I was down like 230, I think is what my loss was on the first loss. And then the second winner helped me get up. I'm about 192 up. Have you noticed that those levels are helpful, G-Man? Getting a strong bounce here. There's lots of those wicks to the left. I like the previous week's profile. It doesn't always come into play. Like if we just have a giant dump or a giant pump, then previous week's levels are, way out of range on the chart and they're not even of interest. But when we're kind of chopping around in the same general like 400 or 500 point range, I feel like they come into play like big time. Like, let me zoom out. There was something this week. Like this, I mean, I know it's not exact, but previous week's value area low was a general range that we kind of chopped around and got back above. Previous week's point of control was here, like we came up, came back down, held it kind of as support. Obviously, it's just kind of a range. It's an area of interest. I don't want people to trade based off of one line. But again, came down, bounced off of that point of control, and it served as support. So I like having those levels on my chart. All right, 10 minutes away from that initial balance being set. I do like that we're holding this value area low. All right, I'm being aggressive, you guys. Don't follow me on this. Like I said, I'm trading a combine. I wouldn't normally take this many trades, first of all, or be this aggressive, but I'm going long because we're holding this value area low. And we could be going higher, at least to VWAP. That's kind of what I'm thinking, or this 15-minute opening range low area. Kind of just a quick little scout to maybe here or point of control and then a rejection. That's kind of what I'm looking for. There's lots of 3 things up here with the point of control, 15-minute opening range low, and the New York anchored VWAP that I think is an area where it could come back up to. I do, G-Man, I have 3 XFAs, so this is just one that I'm trading to add to it. Well, it looks like I could be wrong. About to get stopped out here. So David asked, what do you use for value area high, point of control, value area low? I use pre-market to regular hours on 30-minute time frame. Our areas are slightly different on the chart. What I do is I use this session volume profile indicator. So let me turn that on. This is the current session. So my levels from today are marked from Wednesday. Just because Thursday we didn't really have a full session and I didn't think those levels really mattered. And then I do it from the 1-minute chart. Keep going, keep going. Where is it? Way back here. All right, so here. I do the session volume profile indicator, and then I go to the 1-minute chart and mark my value area high, point of control, value area low. And then I have my session volume profile set up for the New York session. So let me pull my settings up. So the session, I'm Central Time. So I do 8:30 to 4 o'clock Central. A lot of people will do it to 3 o'clock Central or 4 p.m. Eastern, because that's when the market officially closes. So that could be the difference, possibly. Well, dang, now we're moving lower. Broke below that value area low and we're dumping. Whoa. All right, came down to that fair value gap. Let's see if we bounce or if we keep dumping. Also coming up to VWAP. Holy cow. I was definitely wrong on getting that bounce at value area low. Coming up to VWAP. Doesn't even look like buyers want to defend that. It's going straight through. Man. And I don't even think this is news related necessarily. I didn't see anything pop up on Financial Juice. This could just be all those options expiring, you know? I don't know about Trump talking. I know he has that national security meeting, but that's not for another 35 minutes or so. So normally I would say this would be a possible area for a bounce, but with how heavy it is, I don't want to try to catch a bottom. There is that area of interest that I recently drew with this gray shaded box that was kind of support resistance, but it fell through that. The only way I'd consider a long is if we started to get some good solid foundation here and then continuation higher, but this is heavy. I've learned my lesson far too many times trying to short the top and long the bottom, and have blown plenty of accounts that way. So yeah, catching a fallen knife. I've learned to trade with the trend. Oh, the 60-minute initial balance low is no longer valid. It moved quickly down here. So at this point, we'll be looking for an entry on a short, maybe something up here to value area low-ish and then down. Maybe. Yeah, I haven't seen any news alerts pop up. Could just be all the volatility with triple witching day. We are getting a little bounce here at VWAP. But again, I don't want to try to find the bottom and long the bottom, because with how heavy that got, it could easily just turn around and dump again. So if I was to long, I would want to wait for a higher low or something like that. Because this could be easily finding a spot to return to and then get a bigger rejection. Also, with it being 2 minutes away from the initial balance being set, we can possibly look for some trades there. This is a good bounce though. If any of you were crazy enough to just randomly take a long off of VWAP, then you'd be well in the money. Definitely not something that I'm up for anymore. Like I said, I've done that way too many times. Oh, it's coming down to VWAP, it's going to bounce, and then it just dies right through. I'm liking this region up here for a rejection. Look at all that previous support. That will be a really nice spot for it to come up and reject and continue lower. I think that's what I'm watching for right now. Let's see if we get it. So I know a couple of you took that 15-minute opening range low breakout trade with me. Anyone else taken any trades since then? Also, if you guys are fans of anchored VWAP, we can put a VWAP here on this low, the range low. I'll mark it with red so we know it's the low. That's what I found a good way to find entries, like when you're in a trend and you feel like you've missed out on the move and there's a little bit of a retrace. Once it breaks below that anchored VWAP, that could be a possible spot for an entry as well. I don't love taking anchored VWAP trades if it's only been like a five minutes worth of data like here. So I wouldn't immediately enter this short. But if there's been a good like 15 minutes of kind of slow grind up and then it breaks below VWAP, that's better in my opinion. For me, that's what I would wait for. So kind of playing this out, like if both of these scenarios happen where it comes up to this gray shaded area where I kind of marked off lots of previous support, if it rejects there where this yellow line is and then comes back below that anchored VWAP, that would be a much safer entry if you're wanting to wait for confirmation. Or you could just take it here off that rejection. But again, I like to kind of lay out the levels and then wait for how it actually reacts at that level instead of just putting in a limit order. Because this could just decide to like reverse or find a different area to reverse before it rejects. So I would want to wait for some strong selling pressure in this region before actually entering a short. But that's kind of what I'm waiting for at this point. I didn't mark off my other trade, so I did take a long, just kind of aiming for a scalp back up to VWAP. Since it was holding that value area low, got stopped out on that one. Trading a little bit more aggressive than normal today since I'm in a combine. Already hit my profit target in my funded account with Top 1 Futures, so just trading a 50K combine on Top Step right now. Waiting for a little move higher, hopefully a rejection of this area and a spot to enter another short. Those of you who took the day off from the charts yesterday, did you do anything else with your free time? You may have just done regular work schedule, but did anyone go do anything fun? I took the day away from the charts, took advantage of it, and took my kids to the beach. It was a lot of fun. We had a good time. I got really sunburned. If any of you guys are parents of little kids, you can probably relate, but I was super focused on them. Like, I put sunscreen on them. I made sure they had their sun shirts on to like protect their skin because they were out playing in the water the whole time. They're not like sitting in the shade. And then I reapplied because they were there for hours and they wanted to keep playing. They were good. None of my kids got burned, but I forgot to take care of myself. I didn't reapply myself. And it's my shins. Like, I wear a sun shirt, so my shoulders are fine. I didn't get sunburned there. But my shins got burned. I've never been sunburned on my shins. It hurts. You had golf lessons and you're not very good. Well, that's why you're taking lessons, right? So you can get better. I'm not a golfer. I've actually never done like real golf before. I've just done mini golf. But it seems like golf would be one of those sports where you're just like, I think the attraction to it is probably that you're always trying to improve. Like, even after years, you're probably still not that great. Like, it's a really hard sport. So I can see where that would be something that would attract you to like want to keep playing and want to keep getting better, because you never really master it, I guess, unless you're a professional. But even then, football camp, like, is it for high school kids or middle school kids? What kind of, and are you coaching it? No glove, and you probably took a whole bunch of swings. That's not smart. Is that what you do, Coach Set? You're a high school football coach? Depending on what area of the country you live in, I feel like high school football camps, that's rough. That's just hot. But I've always lived in hot parts of the country. Like, I went to high school and grew up in Riverside, California area. So that's like the desert. Oh, it's like 100 degrees and dry in the summer. So our high school football camps were just hot. And now I live in the Houston area, so where it's also hot but humid, so it's a little different. So I could see where in different parts of the country maybe it's not about the heat, but in my brain, high school football camps and like Hell Week and all that kind of stuff, I just associate with hot. All right, so we're kind of coming up to that area of my little yellow squiggly line that I drew. The reason I have this area marked off as interest is it's the value area low, so it was kind of a support area from Wednesday's session, and then also even in this recent price action, it was a pretty good support level here and a little bit of chop action there. So I could see it possibly serving as an area to reject from. So So just kind of being patient, waiting to see how it reacts at this level. If we do get some selling pressure, I'd be looking to go short. Let's kind of look at what the risk to reward would be here. I would honestly probably want to put my stop loss up above there. That's a little bit too high for me. So I think what I'm going to do is wait for it to go a little bit higher so that my entry is better and my risk to reward can be better. Or if it breaks below this red anchored VWAP, then I could enter here and put my stop loss up above that high. So that's kind of what I'm waiting for. I don't like the risk to reward from here. All right. There was scenario number 2, breaking below that anchor VWAP. So it did reject at that area. I didn't want to enter up here, like I said, just because the risk to reward was not great. So I waited for it to break below VWAP. I would love to see it break below this initial balance low. Oh yeah, we're getting heavy. I'm going to put my stop loss above there. Let's see if we can break out below this low, which is the initial balance low. So it is possible we get a bounce here. Definitely possible. That was a pretty strong candle to the downside though. All right, so we're breaking out below that initial balance low. I'm gonna at least move my stop loss to break even. And then I'm gonna move back over to trading view and look for some areas of interest. So Asia low is sitting at 844. That would definitely be a good spot. Bookmap went dark. Yep. So we do have in 18 minutes that national whatever security meeting with Trump. We do have this big area right here. I mean, that'd be like looking for the home run trade down to like 743, that random pump that we had at the Asia Open. So I'm going to take off 3 here at 853, assuming we get there. Because that is right around the London low area. And then from there, if we go lower, I'm just going to trail my stop into the abyss, as Coach Set calls it. To answer your question, Coach Set, sorry I got distracted. I was entering that trade because price started to move. Houston, I'm south of Houston, down in Rocheron, Angleton area. Are you familiar with Houston? Do you know where that is? All right. Looking like we're headed towards that London low. And then just because we're so heavy, like these red candles down are big, I do want to trail a couple because there's a lot of room below. If we break and hold below that overnight low, there's lots of room down. One thing I am gonna do real quick is set my lockout at 1500, because if you guys are familiar with the combines, you have to do it in 2 days, no more than 50% each day. So 3,000 is the profit target. I don't want to make any more than 1,500. I'm actually gonna put it at 1505, 1510, just because of fees. All right, good to go. All right, and now we ride. Let's see. We still have a little bit of liquidity here. Alexis, so someone in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but an evaluation and a combine are the same thing. I think it's just Top Step that calls it a combine, but it's the same idea. Like I have a 50K account. I have to hit a $3,000 profit target over 2 days, no more than 50% in each day. So like essentially you could do it as fast as 2 days if you get 1,500 in one day and 1,500 in the next. And then from there, you move to the next stage where you can actually take payouts. So it's the same thing as an evaluation. It's just that's what Top Step calls it. All right, so I'm glad I took some profits here because we are getting a little bit of a bounce. It's not a convincing bounce yet, so it kind of looks like we're going to continue lower at this point. Let me move back over to TradingView. You know what? I didn't enter my entry, so I got in at 9:30. So if you guys are not using anchored VWAP and you saw what I just did, I kind of played out the two scenarios. And the reason I entered is because we broke through this anchored VWAP of the low, and I knew that sellers were taking back control. So I was kind of looking at a rejection at this area up here. I didn't enter immediately because if you were listening, like I would have had to put my stop loss way up here, and that was like a 56-point stop loss. I didn't like that risk to reward. So instead, what I did is entered once it broke below this VWAP with momentum. Like it was a pretty good indication with volume. You can see the volume here. Like sellers were definitely taking back control. So that's how I use anchored VWAP when we're in a trend and maybe you feel like you've missed out on an entry. Anchor your VWAP at the local low or the local high, and if it passes below or above that, if you're taking longs, it would be above. That's a possible spot for an entry. And then you have a clear spot for your stop loss too. Like I could put my stop up at that previous high. Now I'm trailing my stop loss, obviously, but that was kind of my reasoning for the entry. So I did take 2 off. 3. Did I take 3 off? Yeah, I have 2 left. So I took 3 off at this London like overnight low area. And then, I mean, since we're getting so heavy, I'm trailing some because we have, I don't want to get greedy, but I mean, look at that right there. Let me move that to a fair value gap. That's a big area. And even more so, that was a random, like a low volume pump. Like, look at this volume right here versus the kind of volume that we're getting here. That big old pump came out of nowhere. So there's lots of room to come back down and grab some of that. So at this point, you guys, I'm just going to trail my stop loss and see if we get all the way down here. We have this one little spot of chop right here. If it breaks below that, I'm feeling pretty good about the fact that we're coming all the way back down. And you know what? We did open up with a gap. So if we're that close and we're going to fill that fair value gap, we'll probably even fill the gap from the open. So there we go. Anyone else riding this short with me? All right, you guys, give me your favorite celebratory emoji in the chat. Because, y'all, this is crazy. I hope you guys are riding this short with me. Did anyone enter, like, up towards the top when I did? Some of those scenarios I was laying out with the area of interest that I was looking for. I laid that one out perfectly for you guys, man. I hope some of you are in it with me. Christine, let's go on ES. When are you going to come over to the dark side, girl? You know you want to. NQ's where it's at, yo. I'm just kidding. I'm giving you a hard time. Right in. Love it. What is that? A little, that looks like a laughing fish, David. When I said celebratory emojis, I was expecting like clapping hands or that little like piñata with confetti coming out. You guys are cracking me up. There we go. Coach said, I like that emoji. The money face emoji. All right, so we're kind of hitting that area of chop here that I was talking about. That's what we're fighting with right now. That's the one I was talking about, Christine. That's the exact one. The little, whatever it is, piñata with the confetti that comes out. You know, the party poppers that make a giant mess when you pull the string and they explode everywhere? My mom would never let us buy those at our birthday parties. And I always thought she was like the mean mom because other friends would have them at their parties. But now that I'm a mom, I totally understand why. Oh man, those things make a mess. And it's paper, like paper comes out. So you don't want to just like leave that in your backyard, and you definitely don't want to do it in the house, right? So now I understand why my mom was so mean and never let us have those at our birthday parties. That makes me think of silly string. Have any of you guys ever had like a silly string fight? You know what I'm talking about, right? Like the little aerosol cans with the plastic strings that come out and like spray on people. Silly string fights are fun. If you have little kids, you should go buy a couple cans. But I did that outside with my kids at one of their birthday parties. And I should have made them stay in the grass because they were on our like patio next to our pool, our deck. And that stuff did not come off. It like stained it. So I had to pressure wash that thing. Are you talking about the silly string is the worst to clean up, or the party poppers? All right, so we got below this chop area that I was talking about. And now we are in the abyss. I feel decent about the fact that we're going to come down and fill this gap. It's just a matter of, are we going to do it all at once quickly? Is it going to get heavy and we're just going to go? Or is it going to kind of chop around? Yeah, silly string was a mess. I didn't realize it was going to be that bad. I think because it was a pool party, so it was hot. And we cleaned up a lot of it, but we kind of left some of the little pieces like sitting around on the deck. So I think it was just like the summer sun that kind of like melted it, and it didn't stain our decking, but like it was really hard to get off. So lesson learned. So I marked off that fair value gap, kind of bouncing off of it right now. I do feel like it's gonna go lower. So I want to give my stop loss a little bit of room to breathe, but I also don't want to have it bounce all the way back up if it's gonna like bounce off this view up or the fair value gap and continue higher. So I think I'll put my stop loss right around here at 865 just to give it room to possibly bounce back up to that Asia low and then down. So 867, somewhere in there. Give it a little room to chop around, but I don't want it to move too much higher. I know a couple of you guys are sitting in this short with me. What are you guys targeting? What's your thought process? Christine, are you still in yours in ES? You're short in ES? Are you still there? Holding it, or did you get out? G-Man's back. Yeah. So this one, G-Man, I'll kind of walk you through what I did here. So my red circle got bigger, the one that I drew on the 5-minute chart. You may have seen this before you left, but I was watching for this area up here, and it actually hit it pretty much exactly. I didn't enter immediately because my stop loss would have had to have been up here, and that was like 56 points. I didn't like that risk to reward. So I waited until it crossed below that anchored VWAP, and then I entered. And I trailed out a little bit. I took 3 contracts off at Asia low, and then I'm trailing the rest into this abyss, as Coach Set calls it. That random low volume pump from the market open last night. I feel like there's a decent chance we could go lower. So I just have 2 contracts that I'm holding until there. And then we even have this little gap here. So I feel like if we're gonna fill this fair value gap, then we might fill that opening gap too. We'll see, we'll see. Having this volatility on a Friday is a whole lot more fun. I feel like, I think it was last Friday when I hopped on live, it just died. All right, now we're getting heavy. Come on, how low are we gonna go? What's previous day low? 749. And then if I get particular about that gap, let me see. Where is the actual gap fill? Oh my goodness, way back here. Where is it? Where is it? It would be like 707. What do I have my target set at? 706. Oh, I don't want to have it be like too close. All right, let me go to 709. Yeah, I get it, G-Man. Your accounts are already locked out, maybe a little bit of FOMO. But you know what? Think about the reverse. Imagine like you had already locked out your accounts green, like you did. And then we have like really crappy price action where it's choppy or lots of wicks and random stuff happening. So imagine if that was the case, then you'd be really happy to be in your position. There you go, David. Nice work. Tradeovate eval, is that Tradeify? Is that what you're talking about? Well, it got heavy for a little bit there. We got one good 1 minute candle. Let's see if we can make it all the way down. All right, looking at Bookmap. There are 52 orders sitting at 21,700, which is right about where I have my target. So let's see if we get there. Let's go, Christine. Good job. Way to lock it in. This has been a fun session. Like I said, I don't normally trade this aggressively, but since I have my combine, I've taken a lot more trades on stream than normal. And it's worked out decently today. It could have been the opposite too. I could have blown up an account. That would have been funny. Maybe not funny. That's not the accurate word, but entertaining for you guys maybe. But I'm glad that it happened out this way so you guys can make some money with me. All right, tell me in the chat, you guys, who uses anchored VWAP the way I did on this trade? Like if we're in a trend and you're looking for an entry off of like a retracement, who uses anchored VWAP like that? I'm pretty sure G-Man does. Christine, you use anchored VWAP, right? Luna, what's up? That's a lot of zeros. I don't know what number that is. 7 million. Did you make $7 million today, Luna? Is that how much you're up so far? Coach said, are you green on the day? 7 billion? Come on, give me a little cut of that. I don't even need a full percent. Just give me like 0.1%. Just kidding. Oh, it was supposed to be a yo and you put in a 7? That's funny. David Stewart uses a VWAP. Cool. We got a couple of anchored VWAP people in here. Green, green, green. Love it. Starting to get a little bounce here. Let's look at the chart. So we're right in the middle of that abyss area. I mean, I know if we zoom out, there's definitely a lot of other volume that has been traded in this area on the higher time frames. But just that recent pump from the session open, that's kind of what's making me want to wait until it comes all the way back down. Yeah, we're in that fair value gap, which I know it doesn't have to get filled. A lot of times it can just come down and bounce back out without filling it. My reason for waiting is just because that was such a low volume pump. And right below it, we have that gap from the open. And I know they don't always fill. Like, I'm not saying that. But if we're going to come down into this fair value gap, that gap from the open is not that far away. So I feel like the chances of it closing are higher. Oh, that's interesting. I wasn't watching ES, but David said ES has not reached the 15-minute fair value gap yet. So there is a possibility that could mean the ES is still coming down. So NQ could have a little bit more room to go, since a lot of times they move together. That's a possibility. Another reason I'm kind of giving it room to play out is because I've already taken a portion of my position off. And honestly, even if I get stopped out in profit, I'd still be happy with that. So I'd like to give it some room to go down and fill that gap. That's kind of just my thought process. What are you guys up to this weekend? Anyone doing anything fun? G-Man says he didn't think the market would be red today. Yeah. So honestly, I don't know how far or how early you logged on, but when I was first kind of looking at the market this morning, I was kind of saying, like, this area right here where we closed off last night, yesterday afternoon, that was a good area of support. So I kind of expected there to be a bounce and consolidation there. And I was expecting maybe a little bit of a retracement, but I thought we would get continuation lower. So I was actually surprised that all night last night we went up and this morning. So, I mean, originally, after yesterday, I was thinking more downside. I was kind of expecting a little retracement and then further down. So I'm not super surprised by shorts or the downside now, but I think I was more surprised by all of the uptrend last night and this morning. Oh, Nico's moving this weekend. That's a lot of work. Are you moving like in the same neighborhood or same city, just to a different house? Or are you like relocating altogether? G-Man's lounging by the pool. All right, really hot in New York City. What's really hot for you? I gotta ask this. What do you think is hot? Oh, okay, 8 minutes away. So just a new house. Okay. You're allowed to say it's going to be hot. 95 is pretty hot. If you're going to say like high 80s, low 90s, I was going to be like, come on. I don't mind the heat if I can be by the pool or at the beach or a water park or something like that. And I like doing those things, so I guess I can say I like the heat. Because all those activities by water are my favorite. Floating in the river. If any of you guys are in Texas, you'll be familiar with it. But like going to the New Braunfels, like that area, and sitting by the river, that's fun. It's interesting how the river has changed. Like when I was younger, pre-kids, it was like total party. Like you basically just float and drink beer for 6 hours. That's what it was all about. Now that I have kids and I have to be a little more sober, it's fun just to like sit there on the side of the river in either a tube or a chair or something and hang out and watch the kids play and have fun. It's really relaxing. I think it's one of my favorite things to do just because you're out in the water. You can't have your phone with you, so you're not like working or checking emails or being distracted on social media. And then it's peaceful. It's just good old fashioned fun, like throwing rocks and climbing trees and jumping into the water off of a rope swing, like that kind of stuff. It's fun. Yeah, Texas heat can be a little brutal. And I don't think it's the heat so much. Like, my body's pretty acclimated to the heat. I actually don't like cold at all. I would prefer it to be hot. It's the humidity. Sometimes if there's like no wind and it's really humid, then it just feels like heavy, like suffocating air. All right, so we definitely didn't go down and fill that Fair Valley gap. We're getting a pretty good bounce. 867 is where I have my stop loss because that's kind of where that overnight, like London low, Asia low area is. We got some decent support to the left here and then here. Let's see if we reject, but I don't know. That's a pretty good pump out of that level. Come on. Bounce off of there, reject, and go all the way back down. That's what I want to see happen. That's what I want to see. We never really, so when we broke out of that initial balance low here, we never really retested it. So, and that's also right in line with where that overnight VWAP is, like right there. So I could see where we could possibly come even all the way up to here before we come back down. Like there. That's possible. You were in Austin a few weeks ago, 100 degrees and 95% humidity. Yep. That's Texas for you. It's funny, I'm originally from Southern California, which is like desert dry heat. And sometimes my mom will say like, oh, it's humid here, and it's like 35% humidity. I'm like, really, Mom? Come on. Every time I go back and visit my family there, I'm having to like apply chapstick every 10 minutes and put lotion all over my body just because my body is not used to that. Being from Houston, everything's so humid. I don't need to use that stuff very often. So it's funny how much you can notice the difference. All right, so kind of coming up on my stop loss area. Let's see if we get a rejection at these overnight lows and come back down, or I could see, like I said, coming all the way back up to initial balance low before we reject. Yeah, my mom doesn't know how good she has it. They get hot though. She's in the Riverside area, so I mean there's plenty of days during the summer where it's over 100 degrees. And she's older, so her body just doesn't handle it as much. She'll go get all of her like gardening and house chore stuff done at 7 o'clock in the morning so that she can be inside when it's hot. All right, so we're not rejecting at these overnight low levels yet. It's not looking like we are. So a couple possibilities here. We could definitely be retracing this move because like I said earlier, there's a whole bunch of orders up at 22,150. I don't like to look at Bookmap that much, but I mean, we could have a crazy retracement. Like if we start to hold, here, let me move this line. All these dots and stuff starting to get a little crazy. If we start to come back above initial balance low and hold it, we could continue higher for sure. Or this area right here, I do feel like is a good spot for a possible rejection. So that's kind of what I would be looking for. I want to see how it reacts at the initial balance low. All right, so out on that trade, I probably could have taken one more contract off and left one runner instead of two, but that's okay. I'm okay with it. Up $483. All right. I'm going to sit here for a couple more minutes and see how it reacts at that initial balance low. This is definitely an area of interest for me. Sitting right at that overnight VWAP. So we could definitely reject and continue lower and hit that the fair value gap and like gap fill from last night if we're going there. Or if we break and hold above VWAP and initial balance low and retest, we could go higher. So that's what I'm watching for right there. How am I liking streaming live? I like it. Honestly, I trade better live with you guys. Like, my win rate live is a whole lot better than when I take trades afterwards, or if I'm like not trading live that day for whatever reason. So I need to figure that out about myself mentally, because there must be something where I have like an extra level of checks and balances with you guys, since I'm like live and you can see what I'm doing, and kind of the accountability of it is helping. So I need to figure out how to match that when I'm not live streaming. It's interesting. Starting to get a little bit of a rejection here. I wouldn't want to take a short necessarily here because it didn't come all the way up here. Similar to this trade, the last trade I took though, we could definitely put an anchored VWAP down here at this low. So that way, if it doesn't come all the way up to this level before rejecting, we could maybe take a short if it crosses below this VWAP. But for now, just staying patient. Possibly take one more trade just to see how, if I like some type of reaction at this initial balance low. Have a good weekend, Coach Set. I asked you guys about your weekend plans. We don't have a whole lot planned this weekend. My kids were talking about wanting to do a lemonade stand. But I want to make sure I don't do all the work. If they're willing to like help me squeeze a bunch of oranges or lemons and make some lemonade and bake some cookies and all the stuff that they want to have to be able to sell, if they're going to do most of the work, then we'll set it up. I don't want to be the one slaving in the kitchen today if they're not going to be helping me. So we'll see. They're pretty worn out from our beach trip yesterday. Yep. It's going to be hot here too, so good weekend to try to sell some lemonade. I feel like it's a good lesson too. Like, I've always kind of had an entrepreneur mindset. So I'm excited to kind of teach him about like how much did it cost to buy the supplies, and then how much Like my son has a little piggy bank with some money saved up. He's going to go buy the lemons and the sugar and all this stuff that we need to make it, and the cookie ingredients and stuff. That way he knows what his profits are. So we're going to do all those calculations. And then he has 2 younger siblings. So we're going to figure out like how to split all that. Just kind of turn it into a little lesson. I'm excited about it. It'll be fun. ES is flirting with the IB low and previous day low. Yep. That's interesting that IB low and previous day low are so close to each other on ES. Because NQ, did I delete my previous day low level? Where did it go? I must have accidentally deleted it. But I think it was lower. I don't know. But yeah, it is right around IB low. It's definitely an area I'm watching because it's also right in line with VWAP. I do the work and the shopping and they keep the money? No, that's not how it works. That's what I was saying. If I can get them in the kitchen with me, squeezing lemons and baking brownies and cookies and stuff, then we'll have a lemonade stand. But if I'm going to be the one doing all the work, no, I'm going to keep the money. Yeah, it's a good way to learn about business and calculating net profits, gross profits, all that stuff. But also just a good lesson in hard work. Like, if we're going to go out there and sell lemonade at a good time to sell lemonade, it's going to be the hot part of the day, you know? We're going to be out there like a little before lunchtime. So they're going to have to put in a little bit of work and be sweating out there, holding a sign, pouring lemonade for people. It'll be a good lesson all around, and then maybe they'll all take naps afterwards. That would be an accomplishment, huh? All right. Let's see if we can get some movement up to this IB low. And see what kind of reaction we get. Are we going to reject? Or are we going to break above and hold it? If we do hold, like if we get back within that initial balance range, I could potentially see us going quite a bit higher. The only thing though is we do have VWAP right above. So there's quite a few areas of resistance. And we don't have a whole lot of momentum to the upside. This is kind of a slow grind. Like volume has dropped off for sure. So I don't know how excited I'd be to enter along unless volume returns and we start to get some momentum up. Or maybe looking for like a little scalp just to VWAP or something like that. But I wouldn't want to be looking for a complete home run trade to the other end of the range, which would be the case if we were looking to get those orders filled at 22,150, which is all the way back up here at above that opening range high. Kind of just chopping around right now. Who's going to take control? Sellers or buyers? Where are we going? Where are we going? All right, starting to get a rejection. I wouldn't immediately take a short here just because there's not a clear stop loss. Like even if I put my stop here, it could still come up to initial balance low. So I don't think I'd want to enter a short immediately here, even though it is starting to look heavy. I'd like to see it come up a little more to here before rejecting. What are you guys thinking? Do you think we're going to get above this initial balance high and hold and go higher? You guys looking for longs? Or do you think we're just getting a little bit of a bounce and then we're going to go lower? Yeah, two wheels, I agree. I'm not looking at a short immediately right here. I would want a little bit of a better reaction off of a level. Like if we hit initial balance low and we have a strong rejection, that's kind of the ideal situation I'd be looking for. But if not, I mean, we could break above and hold because this is VWAP and initial balance low. This is a definitely a kind of a line in the sand for shorts or longs. You think we touch anchored VWAP and go back down? So you're thinking all the way back up here, the New York anchored VWAP, G-Man? Yeah, that could be a little scalp opportunity though. Like if it breaks above the initial balance low, retests and continues higher, we could get out, take that little scalp to the New York VWAP. That's a possibility. I want to see how it rejects at this initial, or reacts at this initial balance low though. Let's see, let's see. Anyone new popping in, say hi. Say hi in the chat. Give me a little wave. Let me know who's here. All right. Getting a little bounce or continuation of this bounce. So second scenario I'd be looking for is that kind of option A and B, depending on how we react at this level right here. Bread and butter play. I don't know. I mean, the level that it grabbed was so low that, yeah, this is technically going to be a failed auction if it closes back within the range. But I much prefer it when it's like a quick liquidity sweep and then within, 5 minutes or so, it's closing back within the range. All right, so breaking above initial balance low. Let's see, are we gonna do the orange squiggly line or the yellow squiggly line? What's it gonna be? What's your vote, chat? Are we going with the yellow squiggly line or the orange squiggly line? Are we gonna hold above the initial balance low, or are we gonna reject? What's it gonna be? Tell me your thoughts. Looking like it's gonna be orange. Yellow. David votes yellow. Uh-oh. I was thinking orange. Oh no. Oh no. I'm thinking orange. It's not rejecting. That's why it's good to be patient and wait. Get some confirmation here. We are holding above initial balance low. We're holding it. All right, chat, I'm going long. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Let's see. All right, to answer your question, G-Man, the really skinny blue one is the start of the session, the overnight VWAP, session open VWAP, I guess, session VWAP. The light blue is from the New York anchored open. I don't have previous day, actually. Just because the holiday threw me off a little bit. Like, what do you anchor it at? The 8:30 session or 8:30 open from yesterday, but there really wasn't a New York open yesterday. Like, I don't know. So I don't have one from yesterday's anchored VWAP. Okay, so far the orange line is playing out. We went the orange route. Oh, wrong one. There we go. Wrong account. 909.25 was my entry, so I'm going to go ahead and mark that. My VWAP is different from your VWAP, David? I don't know. I just have the regular session VWAP indicator, VWAP session. So just regular VWAP. Is anyone else's VWAP sitting in a different spot than mine? Mine right now is at 891. 21,891. Where is your guys's overnight VWAP? All right, I'm gonna remove these squiggly lines so we can actually see what price is doing. Lots of stuff going on the chart. So far, holding above that initial balance low. I like that. I want to see how it reacts at anchored VWAP. So it could be just a little scalp and get out quickly. I would also like to see if we gain some momentum and we push through. I try not to let Bookmap sway me. I'll be totally honest with you guys. Sometimes Bookmap messes me up. But we do have those orders at 22,150 that have just been sitting there all day, and I keep seeing them. So I don't want to hold this trade to the moon just because there's orders on VWAP or on Bookmap. I know that's dumb. But this could be like a ridiculously crazy failed auction if it went all the way to the other end of the range. Like, how wild would that be? That'd be a 219 point trade. Yikes. I would get out way before then because my max profit target in this account is $1,500. So I only have like $1,020 left until this is going to lock out. But I want to see how things react at that anchored VWAP. That's kind of what I'm looking at. David, yours is at 938. Interesting. G-Man, where's your overnight VWAP sitting at? Mine's at 891. I didn't mark high of day VWAP yet. Let's do that because that would be another area of interest. Make that one green for high of day. Asia high and high of day anchored VWAP kind of sitting in the same spot. So for me, 946, 944, somewhere in there, that would be my first area of interest to see how it reacts at that New York anchored VWAP. And then from there, I mean, if it just like busts through, we could be going higher. Oh, yeah, David, if you're looking at your VWAP on Project X, don't use the Project X VWAP. I don't know what it is. Like, there's something on that platform where VWAP is not right. I've noticed a lot of other traders talking about it too. VWAP on Project X moves depending on your screen. So I just turn it off. But like depending on where your position is on your screen, VWAP moves. Try it out right now on yours and see. Like note where your VWAP is right now and then like zoom out or like move to the 5-minute chart or the 15-minute chart or something. Like shift it and see if it moves. All right, where did I say that New York VWAP is? 945-ish. So let's see how it reacts at 945. If it starts to reject, I'm going to close it fully. But if it's going to break through, there's lots of levels up where it could be headed. This right here is about where the New York anchored VWAP is sitting, 944, 945. Yeah, you have to zoom out if you want the accurate VWAP on Project X, but then it messes you up. Like if you're on a 1 minute trying to like fine tune your entry, then your VWAP moves. So kind of annoying. I like to use the Trading View VWAP I hope, I mean, I don't really know where you can like submit a ticket for those kind of things, but I hope it's something that they fix. Because I know it's something that several traders have said that they have problems with too. And you kind of want it to be right, you know? All right, I don't have a stop loss right now. This is one thing about kind of a late entry like this. I was waiting for that confirmation that we're like actually holding above IB low. So I don't really have a good like something to put my stop loss at. I could put it down here at IB low, but that doesn't give a whole lot of room for it to like come back down and retest. We are kind of starting to reject at that high of day VWAP. I don't like that. I'd like to see it just break through this high day VWAP so that I can feel a little bit better about at least moving a stop loss to break even, so that I can wait for this reaction at the anchored VWAP, anchored New York VWAP. Just for now, I'm gonna put in a stop loss so I don't get caught in the middle of a crazy dump. I don't love where I have my stop loss, to be honest with you guys. I have it at 886. That's just below the initial balance low, so it's not giving a whole lot of room for it to like come back down and retest and bounce. But I don't want to put it much lower in case it is going to be rejecting this high of day VWAP, and then the move is going to be the continuation down. I don't want to give back too much of my profits if that's what's going to happen. So I'm going to keep it a little bit tighter than I think I would like. Just because we're kind of going against the overall trend. Lots of resistance above us. So far, holding above VWAP, holding above that initial balance low. See if we can get a move higher. Someone was mentioning, I think it was David maybe, was mentioning the book map just went dark above and below. Still is. I mean, if you look at like the bigger ranges outside of the initial screen on Bookmap, there's definitely some bigger orders to the upside. But on the immediate price action range, there's not a lot. $21,944. VWAP is still kind of sitting there. anchored New York VWAP. We have a pretty good area here too if we're gonna get some continuation past VWAP. I like that just because there's that wick and rejection, and then we have this area where there was kind of some support, previous week's value area high. Like that's a pretty good spot for a target as well. Not getting continuation up. Looks like we're going down, you guys. If I get stopped out here, I think this is going to be my last trade for the day. I agree with what Two Wheels is saying, that volume is kind of starting to drop off. We still have lots of weird stuff going on with all the triple witching, options closing, war, with volume lower, and then all that wild stuff going on in the world. Price action could start getting a little funky. So I'll let this trade play out and see, but it looks like I'm about to get stopped out. There you go, Christine. Yeah, it looks like shorts were the way to go. Got stopped out on that one. All right, you guys. I'm going to call it there. Friday, kind of starting to get to that lunch hour. And I know for me, that is when my trading starts to go down. And I don't want to give back all of my profits from today. I want to finish green. Finish the week green. Finish on a good note. I had a lot of fun streaming with you guys. Had some good chats. I appreciate you guys giving me some input on fun things to talk about. If you haven't already, before you guys head out, go like the stream. I would appreciate it. And come back Monday. I'll be here streaming Monday as well. Have a fantastic weekend, you guys. Take care.